and welcome to Encouraging Leadership, conversations that mobilize today's women leaders, with your host, Ann Miner. Meet leaders who share their observations, knowledge, insight, and perspectives to mobilize you to apply your own leadership in business and in life. Here's your host, Ann Miner.
Hello and welcome to Encouraging Leadership, where we engage in conversations to mobilize today's women leaders. I have with me today Kim Boudreau-Smith, a multi-talented CEO and business leader with a legacy of empowering thousands of women. From a corporate background in sales and marketing and over 20 years of experience in the fitness industry, Kim has gone on to become a #1 international best-selling author, with the book being one of the best-selling on Amazon in 2015. Kim also has become a multiple international best-selling author, business coach, and speaker. She combines her expertise with a passion to motivate and inspire other women to become top producers in their lives. As CEO of Kim Boudreau-Smith, Inc. and Bold Radio Station, her international speaking and coaching work has enabled thousands of women to benefit from her inspirational and empowering work. Kim, welcome.
Thank you so much, Ann, for having me here today, and I've decided that I'm going to hire you to constantly introduce me when that is needed. You did such a beautiful job. Thank you.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure, and I'm sure the listeners have noted that I have you, the founder and CEO of Bold Radio Station, on my very own show here on Bold Radio Station.
Yeah, I'm excited. And let's all the listeners know too that not only are you a host at Bold Radio Station, but you and I've had the opportunity to have breakfast when you were doing some visiting a client in the Detroit area, and we have another opportunity coming up here again, hopefully to grab some coffee. So, it's not like that I just know you from being a client. I know you, so I love it when we have social media connections and we get to meet face to face. I love that stuff.
Well, me too. And I always feel that when you can look into the other person's eyes, you really have the opportunity to truly get to know them.
Yes, I agree.
And you and I share a passion for helping women step into leadership. And I would love to hear you tell us a little bit about, how did you get there? How did you get to a place where this is your passion?
Gosh, and that is such a great question. How did, I'm going to go way back. I'm not that old, but I'm going to go way back. It goes back to my corporate days. My first really career job in corporate that I fell madly in love with, where I was working in marketing and sales. It was a combined platform. I was hired in as a part-time market manager, and 2 weeks later, the manager walked out, and they looked at me and they said, "You're now the new market manager." And I'm like, okay. I guess I can learn on the run here. And within a year and a half, literally that moment, Ann, I had no idea what I was doing, but I come from parents that, they work, they push their sleeves up, they work, they're very hands-on. I turned the market around. Oh my gosh, over 300%. We expanded from, we were inside of 9 stores. We were independent contractors inside of Sears stores. We started, when I took the market over, we were inside of 9 stores. When I left and was promoted, we were inside of, 25 stores. I went from having 7 part-time employees to 40 part-time employees and a full-time assistant. So I think that was the first time I really realized what it's like to step into the, so to speak, the ruby red slippers and step into my own personal leadership. But that was just the beginning. Literally, that was just the beginning.
Well, so you were an accidental leader. what we call
I am.
accidental. It
I
was
am.
thrust upon you. I know I had a similar experience in the early days of my career. And while it's exciting and certainly pushes you to bring everything you have to bear, uh, it doesn't happen like that for everybody. You know, there's not just an opportunity that presents itself because, well, you were there and there was a need and you were called upon to fill it. Most have to find their path through, performance and development and proving themselves. So you and I both were gifted with the opportunity to see what we could do and to prove ourselves when there was really a wide open field.
Yes.
What about today?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Oh, I'm sorry, Ann. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. What about the situation today?
Ann, I was just going to piggyback right off what you were just saying is, yes, we do have that one thing in common. We have multiple things in common, but that, guiding the leadership and really guiding other women to step into their own personal leadership. I call that the CEO of the SEO. That's the self-executive officer. And, and, I don't think we ever truly 100% fully arrive. It's constantly a work in progress. And I've heard women say, oh, I can't wait till I arrive to this. It's almost like you and I getting in the car and driving to the local Starbucks. It's arriving to our own personal leadership is not a destination. It's ongoing. It's constantly ongoing. I mean, there's days where our confidence gets ruffled, and then there's days where our confidence is so darn strong we don't even think twice. And, there's days where we have lessons being presented to us and we just go darn or damn, okay, I didn't need that today. And, so it's ongoing. This leadership thing is ongoing. It's like a muscle.
Well, and that's a great way of looking at it, that it's a muscle that you train and strengthen. One of the things that I have hoped over the course of my life is that I could share my experiences so that other people didn't have to suffer the same lessons, didn't have to step in the same potholes that I stepped in, or as I think you even heard me refer to them as cow patties. You don't see them until you've stepped in it, has a nice smooth crust that doesn't smell until you're right in it.
Yes, that is so true.
So now in my life, I didn't have a mentor that could share those kinds of, watch outs with me. So I had to learn on my own. Now, so I did have mentors that they were men, MEN-TORS, and they did the best they could. But I can remember saying to my father, who was one of those, I can't do, and I must say can't is not usually part of my vocabulary, but what I did say to him was, the things that you're advising me to do would work for you. You as a man with, silver at your temples, signifying that you've had life experience. And I mentioned that you're a man, right? For me, as a young woman, it just doesn't work. I need to create credibility for myself in other ways. One day my hair may be gray, but I'm not there. And that gave him pause for thought. I know it did. So my hope is that others, and certainly we're like decades later, that they shouldn't have to experience those same kinds of hard knocks and difficult lessons. They should be able to learn from the experience of others. I'm not absolutely certain that's happening.
And I'm with you. One of the things I love doing is showing. It's like, okay, don't go down that alleyway with the, with the cow patties or the dog doo-doo or, whatever. But, I believe that everybody all has their stinky stumping moments, because those are, by the way, a lot of people like to call the word mistakes. They're not. They're lessons. They're lessons to be learned. These are messages for us to learn and to grow and to be taught. But, with that being said, I'm still, even though there's, Ann Miner of the world and Kim Boudreaux Smith of the world, and there's so many others out there, our generation, we don't have women mentors. There were men, and we did not have women mentors. So now what I'm feeling and seeing with women is laterally, oh my goodness, I just tripped on that word, excuse me, almost the same, dancing around the same age group, 50s, 60s, where we're all stepping in to support and collaborate with one another. But there's still a lot of those the cow pitties there going on within the group. And I think, again, it goes back, we didn't have that kind of mentorship. So I think it's so important that nowadays us women need to pull together, step into our CEO of our SEO, and then in turn support others so that we can pay it forward to these young girls that are coming up the food chain, so to speak. So we can be mentoring. Just because we didn't have it, it's time for us to turn and start mentoring as well.
Well, exactly. And even beyond that, even beyond mentoring, to take the risk to actually champion other women into leadership roles. I think that one of the things I've observed that is it was so astonishing to me was that women were advancing, getting to, VP, senior VP, even C-title positions in organizations. But it was almost like they were still afraid. They were still unwilling to take the risk to bring others along with them. And I actually have heard women say, well, I had to kick and fight and scrap and scrape to get where I am today, and they can just do the same.
Yeah. That's not partnership, Ann. That's not leadership. And this is totally, let me state this on your show as we're live. These are my opinions. I take responsibility in my opinions. But that is not partnership. That is not support. And that is not mentoring. And if we women out there are still having those kind of attitudes, whether it's in, executive positions all the way up to CEO positions out there in corporate or to CEO positions of our businesses, and I come across a woman that is threatened and feels that other women need to do the same thing, we've not arrived. We still have a lot more work to do. We have not arrived. I joke about this, but I really mean that. Every morning I think about those dinosaurs walking across my front yard as I'm grabbing my cup of coffee, because when we have one woman doing that towards other women, we have not arrived. It holds us back. And I think the other thing that women need to also do is step in and take risks. Take risks of mentoring other women. Take risks of reaching out to other women. Take risks of launching that business. And until women are ready to really take risks, if they don't, I feel that they stay behind. I was thinking about this before we became on your show today live. I was thinking about, the risks. And when women don't want to take the risks, it keeps us back to, what was that TV show when you and I, Dan, both were younger, where women stayed home. It was the end. They had a woman stayed home. The man went out and worked. They had two young boys. What was Leave It to Beaver or something? Yeah.
Father knows best, and Leave It to Beaver, and even Happy Days.
Happy Days. That's right. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. We're dating ourselves, girl. We are dating ourselves. So
Yes.
I feel that women really do, they need to step up and take those risks. And until they're willing to take those risks, they still stand in shadows. They stand behind in shadows.
So one of the things I noticed that you have done is you have participated in and actually acted as curator for a number of anthologies or compilation books. And I would love for you to tell our leaders and listeners about how these books encourage women.
Well, it's another form of a platform, and I believe we as women that own businesses, whether we own businesses or whether we're in corporate America still, not just corporate America, sorry, I'm down here in the United States, in corporate in general, and pushing the glass ceiling. And I don't fall into envelopes and glass ceilings, but for lack of time and better words here, I'll use that. But those platforms were, for me personally, I brought together for women to really step in, get the confidence to see how we can come together on a private Facebook group, 30 to 31 women, come together, quote unquote, like in a sisterhood, and really promote one another and watch what the power of those women coming together can do just in one day. Drive these books up to bestsellers, give them more visibility, collaborate, connect, because in a lot of those books, I made a purpose where a lot of the women were not already connected on social media, so they didn't know each other. I was trying to bring a lot of strangers in to grow their feminine platforms. And it really does build confidence because a lot of these women, which, I'm guilty of saying, I want to do something, and then, like 5 years later, it's like, dang, I've been saying I want to do something. I still haven't done it. A lot of these women had a dream of writing their own solo book. And this gave them that little swift kick in the tushy for tender loving care to push them, submit a chapter and go, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then now move forward on their own book. So it's like that little swift kick, that little push to help with the business, to help with the confidence, to help with that dream that they want to write a book.
Well, certainly being in a book, and I too have participated in that type of book. I think you should share the titles. You have some pretty cool titles, like Success in High Heels.
Mm-hmm. There was a trilogy of Success in High Heels, Hot Mama in High Heels, and Manifesting in High Heels. I did not read those. I just participated by submitting a chapter. And then there were the Missing Piece. There was a couple series of the Missing Piece books that Kate Gardner led. And then my books that I led, Bold is Beautiful, Kindness, Beauty, and Strength. Those are my initials. And then Bold is Beautiful, the Breakthrough to Business Strategies. And I'm doing one more book, I'm going to say on your show. I'm going to do one more book this year. We're going to cut the co-authors in half, so we're not going to go for 30, but we're only going to have 15 so the women have more space to write in their chapter. And then I'm done with the anthologies. I'm retiring. That will be launched this December. Hear me loud and clear. I'm retiring from the anthologies.
So, do you have a title for this one coming out in December?
We're still sitting with the title. We will be using something like the No BS in Business Ownership. We really want both men and women, especially women, to reach for this book, read and go, you have got to be kidding me. This woman had, God forbid, a cancer diagnosis in the midst of launching her business, and she was raising kids and a single parent. Oh, my God. Kept going through, and she has this beautiful, successful, viable business. I don't want women to quit and give up on themselves. I really don't. And that's what we want this book to be. We want these women to really read this book, want the women to write and say, look, rather than I've had this coming at me, I have this coming at me, I have this coming at me, but they were all tests, like The Alchemist. That's one of my favorite books, The Alchemist. So this is what we want with this book, so that women, it can be a go-to when we're sitting in our office all by ourselves and we're feeling a little bit too lonely, and they can turn to the book.
Interesting. Well, I'll look forward to it. And now that you've decided that you'll retire from anthologies, does that mean that we're going to see a book authored by you?
No. I have people on the back pushing me on that. And right now I say no to you answer that question. Down the road, maybe 3 years, maybe 5 years, I have absolutely no interest in drive to write a book. I know there's one in there somewhere in me, but I have no interest in write one. I like to talk. I love talking ear-to-ear connections, face-to-face connections, more so than sitting down and writing.
Well, maybe there's an opportunity for you to work with a writer where you talk and they write. Just a thought.
Absolutely. I like that even better.
Well, you and I can talk later about how to make that work.
Yes.
So one of the things that we know leaders need to do is to establish their own credibility, to establish themselves as experts so that they then can use their expertise to influence other people to work towards a common goal. And you talked about the anthology books being an opportunity and a platform. What about radio? You and I are sharing, a few minutes here together on the radio, on your station, so you must believe that radio has a place in establishing women's leadership.
Oh, heck yes. I mean, radio is still the number one leading media platform since, for many, many, many years. And don't get me wrong, and there are so many other media platforms. I'm a firm believer, and this is a very biased opinion, but it works. I believe as a business owner, we need to be published one way or another, like something like you and I did, either in an anthology or a book or Huffington Post, something. And I believe we also need a media leg of either radio, TV, something out there. And we really do have to establish ourselves as the expert, the bold authority expert, the go-to person in our arena. And we have to get really clear on that and be strong within that, because we have got, like for an example, our coaches, we have got coaches on, there's like 10 on every street corner. So how do you leverage yourself, and stand out from all of that? And what I see what a lot of women do is they're inconsistent. You have got to be consistent. Don't be too worried about that, dotting that I and crossing that T, and the P's and Q's are picture perfect, because first of all, I don't believe in perfection. But it's that consistency. And I see a lot of people are here today, here tomorrow, then where do they go for 7 days or a month? Then they're back for 2 more days. Then they're gone again. It just doesn't look like you're serious. It looks like you're a hobbyist.
I knew you were going to say that. That's exactly the term, hobbyist. And so I heard that term earlier this week, in reference to the difference between, and you probably can go ahead and fill in the rest of that. Go ahead and complete the sentence. A hobbyist is?
Oh my gosh. A hobbyist is, that's going to be a long sentence, and I'll keep it short. Here today, gone tomorrow, and a very non-serious person, and I believe a hobbyist has not found. And I'm going to pick on our gender and say her, CEO for SEO.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Keep talking.
Oh, gosh. A hobbyist is somebody that is not serious about their business. I feel that they're lacking clarity, not necessarily the passion, but they're lacking the clarity on the direction that they want to take themselves in. I believe that this surrenders to all the naysayers out there, and there's a lot of naysayers out there, ladies, out there for that you're listening. There are We have partners, husbands that are naysayers. We have best friend, girlfriends that are naysayers. There's naysayers. Just go turn on the news this afternoon, and there's naysayers. So I feel that hobbyists are not serious enough. And no offense to everybody. I'm going to say this. I've said this plenty of times. But, okay, hobbyists, move over for us serious folks that are on social media because we need the space.
All right. Well, that's pretty clear. That is pretty clear. So back to radio. And,
yeah.
Here you have an audience that is listening to conversations to help them move forward as leaders. So you as the expert on the use of radio, what are the steps that you recommend that women take? And what would you recommend they do to get ready to be on radio?
Oh, first of all, really build up that platform, that following platform, and start in your own backyard, so to speak, there in your stomping grounds, and then take it out a little broader throughout the state, throughout the country that you live in, and then globally. The first steps is really strengthen your own backyard. So I always like to tell the hosts when they're coming on, I ask them, what are your numbers? What do your numbers look like? On email and I'm not numbers they do mean a lot to a lot of people. I'm seeing women have unbelievable, viable, successful businesses, and they don't have huge numbers. It's how they are leveraging themselves, how they're leveraging their followers, and how they're leveraging, their marketing talents. So my thing is just get out there, get the word out that you're thinking about doing this. You're going to launch this radio show, and would you listen? Would you follow? Would you recommend? What would you like to hear? I'm a believer in asking questions. I don't like to just assume and judge and just, so to speak, project or puke everything out there, because what if people don't want to hear that? What if that is not what they're looking for? So I always say, ask. What do you want to hear? What would you turn into? What would keep you coming back for more? Just ask questions, because the people will give you the answer. So that's the first step.
Okay. And certainly that activity falls under marketing research. Find out what your audience wants so that you can then deliver it to them. Now, some people will have radio talk shows where they're the only one talking, and others will do interviews, as you and I are doing, where we have the opportunity to introduce our audience to people with different perspectives or different points of view, different areas of interest to speak about. So where does lining up your guests come into the picture?
Well, that again is, I like to, I don't thoroughly inside out research my guests. I don't like to do that. I like to stay more where I personally bring in guests. I do know who my guests are. I've been dancing with them on social media, or they've been right here in my own backyard. And I'll look at the website. I look at the questions that they are submitting. I look at the bio. And that's all I need to know for my hour show, because I like to stay present. I don't like to get too far ahead of myself, because then I'm not staying in that moment. Because I like for the universe, the time to really reveal itself. So what I say to my host is, get out there. What is the premise of your show, and how are your guests going to showcase you and the premise of your show? And if there's a fit, then move forward on that. A lot of my hosts, and I've seen a lot of hosts and other things, will ask, what you're following and how many numbers. It's like, are you kidding me? Give me someone that's fairly new in business, they're out there. They're telling the milkman, the mailman, the dentist. They're telling everybody about their interview because they're new, as well as someone like yourself or myself that's very seasoned. So I say both. You dabble and you tap dance and you ebb and flow in both.
Great advice, Kim. Now we're just coming up to the end of our time here. Do you want to quickly tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you if they'd like to talk further about the radio opportunity and how it can help catapult them to their leadership position?
Yes, there's two places. I have two websites. You can come to boldradiostation.com and track me down through Bold Radio Station, and also step on by at Bold Radio Station. It's not just about me, but get to know our hosts. We have, my opinion may be biased, but we have very good hosts, and we have amazing shows. And you can also come by KimB.com. That's my other website. And I'm all over social media under Kim Boudreau Smith. That's B-O-U-D as in dog, R-E-A-U. You can track me down there as well.
Well, thank you so much, Kim. It's been a real pleasure talking with you today. And listeners, I do hope that you will join us again next Thursday for more encouraging leadership conversations to mobilize today's women leaders.
Thank you for listening to Encouraging Leadership. To learn more about our host, Ann Miner, and the Acacia Institute, please visit acaciainstitute.com. Join us next week at the same time, 1 p.m. Eastern, for more Encouraging Leadership. In the meantime, be courageous.